Americans of Reddit who visited America. What was the most American moment of the visit? I'm Finnish, and last summer I finally made the trip to America I'd been planning for years. I was doing a solo road trip through Texas. My most American moment happened on day 3. I was driving through some small town that wasn't even on my map when my rental car started making a horrible grinding noise. Being in the middle of nowhere with a questionable car was not exactly on my bucket list. I pulled into the only gas station for miles, one of those places with rusty signs and ancient pumps straight out of a movie. A woman named Julia was working the counter, chewing gum and watching a small TV. When I explained my situation, she just nodded and said, "Hang tight, honey. I know a guy." 15 minutes later, this massive pickup truck pulls in, American flags flying from both sides and a gun rack visible in the back window. The driver, Jacob, got out wearing a cowboy hat, boots with spurs, and a belt buckle bigger than my phone. Jacob took one look at my car, then at me sweating in my red and white t-shirt, and immediately figured out I wasn't local. "Where you from, darling?" he asked. When I said Finland, his face lit up like I'd said Mars. "Well, I'll be. Never met nobody from Finland before. Y'all got cars there." Before I could respond, he was already under the hood. As he worked, he told me about his firearms, his 3 ex-wives, and how his great-great-grandfather fought in some war I pretended to know about. Truly American moment came when I tried to pay him after he fixed my car. It was just a loose belt. Jacob looked offended. "Ma'am, we don't take money from visitors to our country. That ain't the American way." Instead, he insisted I follow him to his sister's diner because I looked like I needed some real American food. The diner was exactly what you'd imagine. Red vinyl booths, waitresses calling everyone Han, and portions that could feed a Finnish family for a week. Jacob introduced me to what felt like the entire town. Everyone wanted to hear about Finland, though most questions were along the lines of, "Is that near Russia? And do y'all have freedom there?" What struck me most was how genuinely interested they were. In Finland, we tend to keep to ourselves. Here, I was being treated like a celebrity just for being foreign. When I mentioned I was staying at a motel, Jacob's sister insisted it wasn't safe and offered me their spare room. The most surreal moment came when they found out I'd never fired a gun. Jacob and his friends looked at me like I'd said I'd never used a fork. Well, we gotta fix that. Next thing I know, I'm being handed a shotgun while everyone cheers me on. I was terrified but didn't want to seem rude, so I let Jacob teach me to shoot at some cans. The whole time he's going on about the Second Amendment and how this is what makes America free. I hit one can and everyone celebrated like I'd won an Olympic medal. That night, they threw a barbecue in my honor, complete with an American flag cake. They taught me to line dance, asked me to explain Finnish politics, then glazed over when I tried. Made me try sweet tea, which is basically liquid diabetes. I stayed 2 days in that tiny town I never intended to visit. When I left, half the town came to see me off. Jacob gave me a tiny American flag for my car and his phone number. In case you run into trouble anywhere in the US of A, the whole experience was overwhelming, hilarious, terrifying, and heartwarming all at once.